can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Man, how are we doing out there tonight all across this great land of ours and around the world, coast to coast, globally syndicated, nationally acclaimed? You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report, and we are here to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the evils of liberalism and the benefits of conservatism. We're glad to have you with us tonight. If you were tuning in to listen to us last night live, sorry, feeling under the weather last night, just couldn't make it here. But I'm back, feeling fairly decent today and ready to go. Loaded for bear. I'm really starting to cop to that phrase, the loaded for bear. Let me bring on my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
Well, John, I'm doing much better, thank you. Yes, it's been really great. It's a hump day like no other. It's just, sometimes, John, it's just amazing what happens throughout the day. I'm out there working and things just happen, and wow. When we get on the air, it's just like, man, I'm glad people are out there going to be listening to this, because we don't have, 2 hours. Sometimes it's not enough. I don't know, John. I don't know if we should go to 3 hours and be like the rest of these big boys, but 2 hours is plenty, I think. But it's just sometimes there's just more. We can't put it all in 2 hours.
Well, I've often thought about it. Well, of course, we went from 3 days a week to 5 days a week just a few months ago, just for this reason, just so we could give more airtime and more. We have a tendency to exhaust topics on this show. And when you're coming on the air thinking you're going to have 2, 3, maybe 4 topics, and you end up covering one, and it just wasn't enough time. So we went from 1 hour to 2 hours, and then we went from 2 hours or from 3 days to 5 days, and it still doesn't seem to be enough time. I can't. It's just how many times I get off the air and think, wow, I wish we would have time to say this or say that or cover this point. Oh, yeah, and there was that other story that we should have got to. It's just, it's the way it is. And, of course, I don't know. I'd like to go to 3 hours, but, hey, I want some money for that,
Yeah, exactly. It does take a lot of, let's just say it takes a commitment. And,
it takes a commitment and it takes resources, and we're not quite there in the resources department. So,
hey, I want to remind people of the other thing we're fighting against, and I don't give a crap what side of the aisle it is. We're fighting against progressivism, and we are going to make sure that we get the message out about conservatism that fights progressivism, whether it be from our friends, big air quotes, friends that are on the Republican side, or our those Democrats. They've taken progressivism one step further into socialism, and then we'll have totalitarianism, and who knows what else. I mean, Bernie Sanders, for crying out. Feel the burn, really? I want to put the SPF 9000 on when I see Bernie Sanders, because I don't want to feel any kind of burn.
Yeah, well, what I think of when I hear feel the burn is I think of that show that used to be on the air with Ashton Kutcher, that 70s show.
Yes.
And that was one of his favorite things. Oh, burn. Now, you understand that Kutcher portrayed the dumbest character on the show.
Yeah.
So
one of the things
when I hear people say,
John, is I think of hemorrhoidal medicine. It's like, oh, the pain and itch and burning sensation. It feels like, oh, let's put some cream on all that.
I just think of him every time somebody says, I hear that, feel the burn. I'm thinking, yeah, you probably have the mentality of, what was the character's name on there? Michael something or other. But
Kelso.
Huh?
Kelso.
That was it. Michael Kelso. The token idiot. And the only thing the guy's ever done in my life, or that I can see, that I envy him for, is he married Mila Kunis, but I just think it's a doll. But then again, you got to do so. What do you do after you hang out with Demi Moore?
I don't know. Was that when she had hair or when she shaved her hair off for that role in G.I. Jane? I don't know.
And it just proves my
Just
theory.
thinking about G.I. Jane the other day when she was like, oh, yes, Master Chief. And then the other thing when they were in her doing her seer training.
Yeah,
never mind.
Yeah. Well, I think she's going down. I think she's going down that Sinead O'Connor road. You know.
Yeah, I think she's probably grown it all back by now. But then again, I don't really care about these people, to be quite honest.
Oh no, I don't either. But it just it so much supports my theory that I float on here every now and then, is that the more talented you are in terms of being an actor, the dumber you are when it comes to any sense of reality of what's actually going on in the world.
Well,
and that's because you get paid millions of dollars to pretend to be something you're not.
Yeah, that's just it. They don't deal with reality. They never do. They can't be in reality because they never deal with reality. Yeah. And so when reality touches them, they're like, wow, that's reality? It kind of reminds you of that one movie where what was it? Michael J. Fox, I think it was, when he was, quote unquote, trying to research a movie about being a cop, and he actually got too close to being a cop, got really involved, and blah blah blah. It's like, life is dangerous, and some of these movies are like, hello, you can't get away with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and what about those guys out there in Hollywood that claim that everything they do over in the Middle East, recording all this stuff, is just as dangerous as the soldiers that are out there fighting the war? This is where your idiocy comes from, where people like Martin Sheen being asked presidential advice because he portrayed the president in the West Wing. This is how idiotic it gets.
Yeah, well, that's where unfortunately we have a disconnect in a lot of our population. And hopefully we can take care of some of that if they just tune into us and get our archives.
Right.
And then from there's plenty of archives out there. I think you could probably go a few months and not repeat any of them.
Yeah. And speaking of disconnects, we're going to talk just very briefly here, probably after the break. We're coming up on a break, but we're going to talk very briefly today, about the Donald Trump situation and the debate situation with Fox News. And there's a reason why we're even talking about it at all. I've got 2 points I want to make. Other than that, I'm not really interested in whether Donald Trump shows up at the Fox debate or not. It will feed into what we have to say about it. But we've got other things that are going on out there. Big story breaking right now is the situation with the Planned Parenthood down in Texas, Harris County down there, clearing Planned Parenthood of any wrongdoing and actually filing charges against the people that exposed them. And we're going to talk about that, I think, in quite a bit of depth today, because these are the things that you really need to know about. This is stuff happening that is going to affect our lives, is affecting our lives, has affected our lives, and will continue to affect our lives. When you got organizations like Planned Parenthood getting away literally with murder for profit, and somebody exposes it, and now they're hanging on the wire, facing 20 years in jail for something that all you people out in the press should really be worried about. Because if what's coming down the pipe here is what we're hearing here is that you can't go out and conduct sting operations. Not that you guys do, if you think about some of the reporters in the past that have done that. Boy, Watergate, things like that. Dan Rather had a sting. What about that home predator program where you guys disguise, you put people out on the internet and pretend they're teenagers, and then you entrap somebody in a house under closed-circuit TV? All that stuff may go by the wayside. You may be violating too many rights of the criminals. And so that's something we're going to talk about tonight. And of course, we're not going to let Hillary go without some mention today. It just gets better and better, depending, on our side. Of course, we don't know what the other side's going to do about it or if they'll do anything. But these are things that are actually happening, that are actually pertaining to what's coming down the pipe here this election year and beyond. So stay with us. We'll be right back. We got to do our first set of commercials here. Don't go away. We'll be right back here at the Conservative Syndicate. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
At the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hickos from Dreyer Report, and we are getting ready to launch into our topics for the day. And right off the top here, I want to spend just a few moments, and I mean few, and relatively speaking, that means very few, here on the Conservative Syndicate about the deal that's going on with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has chosen to boycott the the Fox News debate. Is that tomorrow or next week?
Oh no, John, that's tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow. I don't know. I was getting my calendars mixed up here for some reason.
No, next week is the caucus. We are 5 days away from that.
Yeah. Okay. Calendar dyslexia. I got the dates reversed. But anyway, so tomorrow we have the last Republican debate before the caucus next week. And Donald Trump has chosen to boycott because he doesn't like the idea that Megyn Kelly will be making a return as one of the moderators. And we know from the last time, actually, I don't know why that's such a big issue with him, because he scored big by having Megyn Kelly there last time.
Because that's not the real issue.
Yeah, but that's not the real issue, okay? The real issue is, in my mind, and I'll let Joe make a comment also here, the real issue in my mind is this guy has found a way, is using this as a tactic to once again control the narrative on his terms, to be able to conduct his own type of publicity and press and everything else. And what better way to do it than just refuse to be part of the collective debate and sit off on the sidelines somewhere out in Twitter world during the entire debate. I bet you he launches 200 to 300 tweets tomorrow during this debate from wherever it is he's at. And if he doesn't do it, his people will be doing it. Somebody will be aflame with Twitter, and you can believe a lot of the lemmings and the sheep will sign on also, and they'll all be retweeting and everything else. And the strategy will be, why Fox News is losing money and their ratings going down the tubes. Boy, look at the number of people that were listening to me on Twitter. That kind of thing. We're talking about the guy who now thinks that he can stand in the middle of the street and shoot people and not lose any points in the polls. And just, it's a stunt. It's a stunt. I guess that's the way I would put it. What's your take on this, Joe?
Yeah, like you said, John, I'm hoping how I would answer the question about Donald Trump. I would probably answer it this way. I would answer it that, okay, Donald Trump has decided to make this all about him. It's all about Donald Trump when it should be about the voters of Iowa and the voters in this nation. And in fact, it's not about Donald Trump. It's about the nation. This is about the nation, not about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump decides that he doesn't have to share his message with millions of viewers on television and with the people that are sitting there in that hall in Iowa. So he's taken it upon himself to not share. He does not care enough to share his message. And inasmuch that he does not care about about the voters in Iowa and or the voters in America or the nation itself, because it's all about Donald Trump, I would say, then who cares about Donald Trump? And I would say, next question, please.
Yes, yeah. Well, I would say if I was in Ted Cruz, and we were talking about before the show here, speculating that Cruz will probably be the first person asked about this. What do you think about Donald Trump not being here? How they lead him into that, or what analogies or whatever, and I'm sure Megyn Kelly will be the one to ask the question. And it'll be laced with some kind of sarcastic rhetoric and everything else, and then she'll throw the question at Ted Cruz. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm predicting. And if I was Ted Cruz, the best answer I think he could give was, well, see, this is what I was referring to when I said a New York values. That's how I would come back with that. And then perhaps echo what he said the day after he took such a hit according to the media, a hit with his comment about New York.
I would not even go there. I would stay away from that, John. I would just go, look, this guy's made it all about him. It's not about him. It's about America. It's about this nation. It's not about Donald Trump. It's time to get away from that. This is too important to just make it all about Donald Trump. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about how we're going to make this nation better. And if Donald Trump doesn't see fit enough to be here to deliver his message, then who cares about Donald Trump? Period.
Well, I agree. I agree.
Do not even go to give them a chance to do the New York value thing again. That's just as stupid as Trump not showing up at the debate.
Yeah, well, I would give you that. I would concede there's probably a more expedient type of response and would have a much bigger impact in terms of not entering into the fray and just saying, this is what it's all about.
If you want to expound on the real reason why Donald Trump doesn't want to be at the debate, because he knows he can't defend his record. That's the problem that Donald Trump has. He can't defend his record of wanting nationalized health care, a single-payer system where he says the government's going to pay for it. He can't defend his record of donating to the Bill and Hillary Clinton Foundation. He can't defend that. How can he defend it? He can't defend on going, hey, Hillary Clinton's done a great job. Barack Obama's got a great job. I would support them very much. He can't defend the fact he wanted to be a member of the Reform Party because the Republican Party was too far right. He can't defend these things. That's why he's not going to be there.
Oh, that's a perfectly good point. And that this time around he was going to be hit with that because that's what's been surfacing. Once he came after Ted Cruz over the citizenship thing, it opened up a whole different door, and the criticism started flying out the window here about what he really represents, what his past history. Of course, maybe there is some wisdom in the way the National Review went after him, because these are things that were brought up during the commentaries of some of these 22 conservative icons that were out there that talked about his past and everything else. So, I'm thinking more, I guess the cynical side of me would be, I might, would maybe even float something out there about citizenship. Donald Trump says I'm not a citizen, but here I am doing what a citizen would do, where he's doing what somebody like Barack Obama would do, or something like that. Lay it off that way.
It's all about Donald. It's not about Donald. It's not supposed to be about.
Yeah, I get it. I would concede your point. It would be more politically expedient and and keep Cruz above the fray if he did that. If he did that now, what we'll probably hear, I'm sure somebody. This. Who's going to be the best to watch on this? John Kasich. How John Kasich responds to this. the big crybaby of the group, how he turns it around and tries to use it to his advantage will be interesting to watch. And maybe even Jeb Bush. Maybe Jeb Bush, he's desperate as all hell. He's trotting out mom and dad and his brother out there telling everybody, as I said the other day, like Ward and June Cleaver, no, the Beav is really a good guy. He's really a good kid, that kind of thing. So it will be interesting to see how Kasich and Bush, if they're given that question. They may not be given the question because Fox News, represents their side, and maybe they don't want to put them in that fray. But they'll certainly pitch it at Cruz, trying to incite and trying to build on that. So I would concede your point. I think it would be very expedient of Cruz to say, this isn't about Trump. He's not here. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want to be here. Why do we need to deal with him? We don't have to talk about him. He's not here. And the other thing that bothers me about this whole thing is what Trump plans to do, which is hold some event where he raises money for the Wounded Warrior Foundation.
Right.
He's like, hey, I'm not going to be here, but I'm going to do something for the veterans, our wounded vets. Well, I'm sorry, Donald. You could do something for the wounded vets probably 60 days a year if you wanted to, for crying out loud. You're going to do it now? Really? To me, that's insulting.
Well, let's not forget the last time Trump did something for the Wounded Warriors when he came out here to California and held a rally at the USS Iowa, which is docked down here the street from us. We're about 30 minutes away from where the Iowa is docked. He came down here, held this big rally. The next day, the organization lost their 501c because of the money that was being raised.
Yeah. Well, and then there's articles that they're not managing this money, this donation money that they're getting now. So, I mean, there's allegations they're mismanaging this money.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? It's not.
But that's beside the point. My point
exactly.
is Doug could do this every day of the week if he wanted to.
Yeah. My point is.
He's got enough money that he could do that and still not hurt his poor little dear old pocketbook. In fact, he'd write it off.
Yeah. Well, my point is that when you it's not so much what the reality of any particular circumstance or situation is. It's how it's played in the media that matters, because if nothing else, we've got to admit up to this point, and I really believe this is not going to work in his favor by doing this. But up until this point, it has been all about him controlling the narrative, and it is how the media plays things, not how things actually come out and not how they actually occur. It's how the media has been able to twist it. Now, I don't know how the media is going to play with this, other than I know that in the debate tomorrow and probably the few days afterwards, they're going to try to use it to present a further division in the Republican Party.
So they say. I'm here to tell you, though, in this environment that he's in, this is not a politically savvy move at all. And yes, he's the unconventional Donald Trump. He's not the politician. Does not mean he does not know politics, by the way. But hello, Donald. Check this out, Donald. People still haven't made up their mind. You narcissist little fool, you. Do you think that you have this in the bag, that you can walk away from this and not have to be there and explain your message to people? That is arrogance and narcissism unbound. And, I have a feeling that this is not going to end well for him.
No. And, again, if people like Cruz and even Rubio, if these guys that are pretty astute at debate, if they're really smart, whatever they say, they will minimize it. It'll be quick, to the point. Now, how about asking us questions to those of us who are up here on the stage?
Yeah, that care enough to be here.
Yeah, that cared enough to be here. Hey, why don't you ask? Let's give the microphone to Rand Paul first. The guy that in the last debate was relegated to the second tier. He's now back here in the first tier. Out of respect for him showing up in the face of media scrutiny and humiliation, he's still here fighting the battle. Let's give him the first real question, something like that. Not that I'm a Rand Paul supporter, but the fact is, Rand, I think if I had been in his shoes, I might have, after being relegated to the second tier, especially the fact that he had ratings that should have put him on the first stage and should have dropped somebody like Kasich to the bottom.
Yeah.
I probably would have walked away. I probably, this is bullshit. Sorry, excuse my French, but that's what I would have said. No, I don't need to do this. I got better things. Let me go back to being a senator, see if I can get something done outside of endorsing Mitch McConnell for another term, something like that. But anyway. Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. We gave that much more time than I even wanted to, but I concede your point, Joe. I think it would probably be more expedient for Cruz to just, or any of them, to just say, look, we're here, he's not. Change the subject.
Yeah. Next, Donald who? Donald Trump? Yeah, sure. There he is. He's somewhere else. He doesn't care enough about us. Move on.
Yeah, we need to. In fact, I think we'll start coining a new phrase for Mr. Trump. Well, he'll be Donald Chump from now on this show. Donald Chump.
Seriously,
because that's how he's acting.
So amazing.
Anyway, we got to go to break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about something that's going down in New York right now. If I can put it that
way to put
it. A leak. There's a leak in New York that we're going to talk about when we come back, that I have to talk about because it so well exemplifies so much of what we talk about here in terms of liberalism and actually the bias that the left have for the very people that they say they're representing. I think that's the message you may find if you listen real close. to the topic when we get back here. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed-rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host from Joe Hakos. And I want to let you know out there, if you've been trying to find us out there, I announced this a couple of weeks ago that we're now there is an outlet out there called TuneIn, which is carrying our show, and there were some problems with it in terms of the RSS feed not falling into the right slot or something like that. And we were getting sporadic show listings. One day we'd have everything on there. The next day we'd have one show. Then we wouldn't have any and everything else. I just want to let you know they finally fixed it. It had to do with a bug that was in their system that lists not only what show, this is why I'm bringing it up, not only what show just played, but it also tells you the next show that will be coming up live on what affiliate that we're on. We're on about 4 or 5 affiliates live, and or they actually stream our show, our archive, as if it's live. They actually give it a live slot, and that's very advantageous to us. And so what they'll do now, what TuneIn does now, is that they'll tell you the next station that it will be available on. And it will say either Red State or Rebooting Liberty or our site or Spreaker, whichever site that we're on when we're scheduled to come on. So I wanted to let you know that. If you want to check that out and take advantage of it, you just go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and click on the TuneIn icon, and it'll take you to TuneIn, and you'll see the next show that we're scheduled to be live on. Like after we get off the air tonight, the next live broadcast of our stream will be, or replay of our stream will be on Red State Radio at midnight tonight. And so, if you're a late sleeper, instead of watching the Tonight Show and that garbage, you could listen to our show instead. So check it out, theconservativesyndicate.net. All right, now let's get into what we wanted to talk about, this story here. I want to have fun with this, Joe. You got to help me here. We got to put on our thinking caps, and just because this is such a perfect example of the idiocy of liberalism.
Okay, I want you to contrast this with, I don't know, Mayberry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is like I don't know what the thinking is behind it, but one of the things we know, one of the things we've been experiencing here now, ever since Barack Obama came in office, is this idea that racism is alive and well in the country. In fact, it's worse than it's ever been. The only time it was worse than this was before back in the days of Lincoln. And even that didn't alleviate anything. The Civil Rights Act didn't really do anything. It didn't really accomplish anything because racism is still alive and rampant. And we have tried our best to make you, our listeners, aware that this in and of itself is nothing more than liberal capitalism. It's just liberal capitalism, because if you can keep these groups believing, these demographics, these voting blocks, believing that they're being oppressed by whitey, then you can continue to fight against it and raise money. You can take people like Al Sharpton and take them from the streets to the suites. You can put people out there like Jesse Jackson who can shake people down just with a phone call now, and yet has one of the largest alcohol brewery centers. His son owns a Anheuser-Busch distribution center in St. Louis, one of the largest in the country. These are the things you need to understand. This is what we tried to reiterate. Oppression or perceived oppression, slavery, all these things there's great money in it. There's great money in leading movements against something that you yourself have created. Never let a good crisis go to waste. If we don't have a crisis, let's create it. And so what Obama's administration has done, it's revived the racist rant. It's brought about probably the worst political division we've had since the Civil War dealing with racism. And it's the left that keeps this going, because they have basically gotten to the point now where they're telling the very people they're supposed to be representing that these people are idiots. It's like you can't do anything without government. It's not that you don't have the opportunity. It's just you can't do it. You don't have the ability if government doesn't step in and protect you and guide you. And you got something to say, Joe?
Yeah, well, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking, wow, they've taken it down to the very basic human functions. I mean, you're too stupid to know how to.
You people are so out of touch with what it takes to be human beings that we've got to relax laws because you don't even know how to use a public restroom. Oh. We've got to make it easy for you to be able to urinate. And that's
because the system was rigged, so you don't know how to use a bathroom in public.
Yeah, we still in New York somewhere. The bathroom still must have white and colored written on the doors or something. And you just don't have enough sense to come in out of the rain when you have to go to the bathroom. You know, it's just what it is. Now, what am I talking about? Well, New York City, their city council in New York City and New York has decided that they want to make urinating in the public square, they want to decriminalize it because it's happening so much, especially in communities of color, that they're bogging down their criminal court system with citations for urinating in the public and carrying open alcohol containers.
Well, drinking in public
and carrying open containers. And you poor souls don't have enough sense to know, while you're walking down the street and you're with your open container swigging down your Colt 45 or whatever it is, those 40 ounces that you guys like to drink. Okay?
Who knows? It could be some a really nice bottle of wine, John. Who knows?
Oh, well, it could be Hennessy for all I know. You could be out there with Cat Williams and Snoop Dogg walking through Central Park swigging down some Hennessy. Some
18-year-old single malt scotch.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, hey, one of you got the urge to go. And it's like, oh, man, geez, well, rather than walk across the park to the restroom, I just need to let it go here. I need to do it.
Madam, I don't care if your little child's playing over in the sandbox over there in the park. Yeah. I'm whipping this up because it's time for me to go.
Yeah, I mean, cats crap in the sandbox. Why can't I?
So guess what? Okay. Hey, madam, do you have some tissue for me?
Yeah.
For crying out loud, you got to be kidding me. New York. This is a New York value? This is New York values?
Yeah, well, it will urinate for food. How about that?
And I loved it, John. They called it the Criminal Justice Reform Act.
Yeah.
Wow, you cops are... Well, I can't believe you cops are trying to uphold just standard decency in our public streets, for crying out loud. How dare you?
It's funny. It's funny, the wording. I'm looking at an article here that came out in New York Times, and the wording that they use, you would think that this is the biggest political movement going on. This is one of the biggest social issues of our time. They want to steer misdemeanors of urinating and things like that in public square to a civil process rather than a criminal court. Now, here's the thought behind it.
So what do you have? I got pee and defecate. I got a summons. I got to go to pee and defecation court.
Well, here's the way they're looking at it. This is the way they're justifying it. First of all, we'll get into the humor of it in just a moment, but let's look at the political side of it, how they're politically trying to play this. And that is that so many people are doing this in New York City that it's bogging down their criminal system. Okay, so we've got too many people bogging the hallways of the courts over these charges, and we need to reduce that traffic.
Well, they said there are hundreds of thousands,
Yeah,
John.
hundreds of thousands of citations being issued, criminal acts, misdemeanors, whatever, criminal acts of not paying attention to public sanitation rules and laws. Okay, you're urinating in public and you're walking around and drunk with your open container, and these things are bad because it's bogging down the system. Okay,
yeah.
Now,
let's not forget littering, public drunkenness, urinating in public, excessive noise, and breaking of certain park rules.
Yeah, okay, and now you got to understand, because these hundreds of thousands of people are people of color. Because that's where most of this, according to the city officials, is happening. And they need to relax these laws because they're clogging up. And on the other side of it is they've got to issue too many warrants for people that don't show up. So if you've got hundreds of thousands of people clogging the hallways of the court system, and you've got too many warrants being issued for those who are not showing up, then there must be well beyond hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people, that are being subject to these unnecessary laws that are doing nothing but putting a strain on the criminal system in New York City. And the reason why, now the funny side of this, the snake oil, I'm going to quote you from Ms. Mark Viverito, who's the one that introduced this legislation. And we'll read this and we'll go to break, give you time to catch your breath and finish laughing so that you can hear what we got left to say in this. She says, we know that the system has been really rigged against communities of color in particular. There's too many of you folks in communities of color that are out there urinating in the street and getting drunk in public, okay? We need to do something to alleviate the fact that you're being put into the court system for breaking the law. So she is saying, so the question has always been, how can we do this job to minimize unnecessary interaction with the criminal justice system? How can we do our job without actually doing our job? That's what she's saying. So that these young people can really fulfill their potential. Okay, so you guys out there pissing in public and drinking, you're being subject to the law, and therefore you are being held down, you're being oppressed, your full potential is not being fulfilled because you're urinating in public and you're getting drunk in public, and somehow holding you accountable for that is not allowing you to realize your potential. So I guess the potential that we're talking about is becoming full-fledged alcoholics. I don't know. If you're in the jail cell, you're not going to be able to drink. I don't know how this plays out. But anyway, we got to go to a break. When we come back, well, I'm going to have some more fun with this. This is probably one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in quite a while in terms of liberalism trying to pander to the idiots that are out there. The idiots that probably don't even, you guys need to understand. I bet you none of these people that are getting do not go to jail cards don't even vote in city elections. They don't even, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you who was on the city council for all that goes because they're too drunk and too busy pissing in the street. So anyway, we got to go to a break. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. And we're back. After a short restroom break there, you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And